Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Bad Roommates. I think it'll be one of two for this week. First up, we have every small thing becomes drama with my housemate. Is moving out the only solution? I've lived in this house for almost 2 years and have never had any major issues with previous housemates. My current housemate moved in after I helped her find the room. I helped her settle in, assemble furniture, and get everything set up. Ever since she moved in, though, it feels like every small issue turns into a drama. One example, she wanted to keep a bunch of cardboard boxes on the balcony. I didn't like it because we have storage space, but she said she wanted to keep them for when she moved again. I let it go. Another time, I left an empty shopping bag on the dining table because I was in the middle of something and planned to tidy everything up afterwards. Instead of just waiting or reminding me later, she became very emotional, cried, and blamed me for not putting it away immediately. Then there was a situation where she threw away a pair of shoes because she couldn't sell them. I took them out of the bin and offered to sell them instead. Before I did, she literally told me, "If you sell them, you can keep the money." I sold them and used the money to buy myself a gaming mouse. Afterwards, she told me that she felt hurt because I didn't tell her I'd sold them, and said I should have used the money to buy something for the house instead. Is the gaming mouse not kept in the house? That completely confused me because I did exactly what she'd previously told me I could do. There are also constant little things, a few drops of water on the kitchen bench, wiping things immediately, forgetting to lock the front door, etc. The difference is that when she forgets something, I just fix it and move on. I don't turn it into an argument. To me, these are normal housemate mistakes. To her, they seem to become emotional conflicts. I feel real bad for her that she's going to have to find another roommate when the lease is up. The latest issue has made me realize this probably isn't about any single incident. No, it's just a way of life for her. She has said she doesn't feel comfortable with my partner staying here. Oh, I could have put a bet on that. I understand that's her feeling, but from my perspective, we've tried hard not to disturb her. Well, I should say it's her feeling. She's welcome to enjoy that. We mostly stay in my room, only come out to cook or eat, and leave the living room for her when she's home. Overall, I feel like I compromise a lot when she expects things to be done exactly the way she wants, immediately. Whenever our expectations differ, I feel like I'm always the one expected to adjust. Well, you should stop that. It'll create conflict, but she should get used to it. She's going to deal with a lot of that in life, as this is how she is. She needs to get used to managing it. At this point, I honestly think we're just incompatible as housemates. I mean, she's incompatible, certainly. The landlord rents rooms individually. Ah, good. And I've already spoken to him. He's aware that we're incompatible and said he's open to rearranging the tenants if necessary. Am I in the wrong for thinking it would be better if she moved out? And if that's the best solution, well, okay, let's finish the sentence first. What's the proper way to handle it? Since the landlord rents the room separately, should I just tell him, let him deal with everything and stay out of it? Has anyone been in a similar situation? Well, I think if you want her to move out, you're going to have to discuss it with her and see if she's willing to go. She might feel that you're the one that has to move out since you brought it up, so you need to consider whether or not that's something you're willing to do as well, as either way, you won't have to deal with her anymore. Best of luck, and I hope it works out for you. Story number 2. Am I overreacting to my sleepwalking roommate by Sad Material 1553? I, 19 male, was in a rather long initial training program upon joining the military. In total, the training lasted 2 years, and about halfway through, I got a new roommate, Timmy, 19 male. Timmy and I actually had went to basic training together, so I had known him and been great friends for a long while at this point. He was neat and tidy and seemed talkative, but overall a great roommate. Now, our rooms in this asbestos-filled mess of a barracks were fairly small, and due to the extra long training program, we had relaxed standards, and were authorized to move furniture into the room to our liking, so long as it didn't cause any obvious fire hazards. We each enjoyed our privacy, so with our movable desks, wall lockers and fridge, We divided our room into 2 rooms, with a wall of furniture, where upon entering the room, immediate to the right was Timmy's area, and containing straight down the walkway behind a wall of furniture was my side of the room. In short, there was no reason for him to ever cross over into my side of the room, but one night he did. One night, like every other night, I was sound asleep, but I am a light sleeper. It was around 2 a.m. when I heard and felt something on the bed. When I looked up, Timmy was crawling, oh goodness, from the foot of my bed up toward me rather quickly. I kicked him instinctively, and he fell off the bed onto the floor and just sat there holding his head with his hands covering his face. He stayed like that without moving or saying anything for 2 minutes, it seemed. The entire time I was screaming, "What the fuck?" and other profanity-filled questions. While my heart was racing, and I had adrenaline I just didn't know what to do with. I think the screaming and everything was reasonable given the circumstances. Eventually, he finally started saying how sorry he was, and that he used to have a sleepwalking problem. I couldn't exactly leave the room and had nowhere else to go, so I just stayed up the rest of the night in the day room, processing what the fuck just happened. We stayed friends, and I honestly believed him, but was still way too freaked out to not do anything. So I privately notified the drill sergeants what had happened, and they weren't any help because all the barracks were full and some other dumb excuse I can't remember. I decided to take matters into my own hands. I once again rearranged my side, but this time fire hazards were more of a goal than an obstacle. Every night before bed I would open my wall locker door, which covered the entryway to my half of the room, which I then used a bike lock to affix to the dresser, basically rendering entry into my side impossible. Timmy was understanding, but I think perhaps offended that I did that for the rest of our time there, which was a little under a year. Terrifying experience. Well, that situation should have been for Timmy to deal with if he's the one... is it somnambulism? Is that what it's called? If it's something he does experience, he definitely should see someone about it. Maybe a sleep study would be useful. No, I don't think you overreacted initially. Certainly, God, it was like a real life sleep paralysis demon is what you had to deal with there. And I think taking precautions to make sure that it didn't happen again was very kind of you. Otherwise, he might have got smacked in the mouth one night if he'd startled you awake. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. But no, I really don't think that's an overreaction. I mean, you took precautions just to make sure that, you could get a good night's sleep, and he would probably just walk into the door. And I think, I'm not entirely sure how sleepwalking works. One thing I do know is apparently it's okay to wake him up. They always say, don't wake up someone who's sleepwalking. I think it's generally fine if you do it gently. Anyway, on to the next. Story number 3. I wasn't sure if my room... Oh, well, we'll save that for the last one. My sister-in-law is pissing me off, by Jedi Mind Check. My sister-in-law is really pissing me off. A little backstory. My sister-in-law, 47 female, currently lives with us. She hasn't been the most productive or successful in life and was down on her luck yet again. She was breaking up with her boyfriend and losing her subsidized apartment. We offered her a temporary place to stay until she found another job. She usually stays on top of rent and keeps to herself. If it weren't for the little things she does that turn into big things, she'd be a decent roommate. The problem is, with her manners and common courtesy, I believe the root of her issues is her mental illness. She has been diagnosed late in life, but not recently, with BPD and paranoid schizophrenia. She is medicated. Because of this, she would normally have qualified for disability. But because she can't keep a job, she doesn't have enough work history to qualify. She has also had problems with drug abuse and self-medicating. Oh, that always goes well when you self-medicate with mental illness. That ends well for everybody. She stopped using drugs maybe a little over a year ago. Hopefully. We give her a pass on a lot of things, like chores. She's incredibly dirty, an absolute slob. We literally had to use outdoor ant traps because of her. but she keeps it contained to her bedroom with the ants. I've got Archer going through my head now. She will do the dishes every once in a while. My husband and I do the dishes 95% of the time. I take care of everything else in the house, bathrooms, living spaces, cooking, etc. My husband has his own chores and does whatever I ask of him. He's a goddamn saint. But anyway, I'm good with that. I'd rather we do it ourselves so she doesn't fuck it up. Other than being disgusting, she's pissing us off with her entitlement, lack of common courtesy and decency, intense mood swings, and her justification for everything. Nothing good ever comes out of confronting her, and it just turns into an argument about her feeling attacked and bullied. My husband and I are non-confrontational, and we don't make a big deal out of her lifestyle or even complain. We've tried reasonably talking, always approaching her gently, respectfully, and not when we're upset. Anytime we've asked her to do or not do something, she turns it into us calling her a piece of shit, a bad person, crazy, her enemy, out to get her. As if we implied those things and she's made up our minds for us. Even if we could get a word in, it makes no difference. Everything she does is justified. She says things like, I had to, or because this or that happened when I was a kid. Because she has PMS. It just never works. It's not worth it. She's obviously the perfect human being. Now, she can be insufferable. But one of the biggest issues we've had is she feels entitled to use our things and eat our food. When she came here, she basically had clothes and her DJ equipment. Yep, she's a DJ. That means no dishes, no food, no toilet paper, nothing to even contribute to basic household items. We let her use everything, of course. We're not going to not let her use silverware. And as far as food goes, we share a lot of common things like eggs, butter, and coffee, etc. She takes advantage of this by eating everything that's ours. She gave away an entire bag of Costco chicken tenders to her boyfriend. Why? Because he's an able-bodied 40-something-year-old man who can't get a job, or has ever had a job, won't look for a job, doesn't want a job, and would rather mooch off people who do. She didn't tell us about the chicken tenders, but we figured it out. I also have type 1 diabetes, and the groceries I buy are specifically for my diet. I have snacks, and high sugar and carb snacks for when my blood sugar drops. The last straw was when I bought a single serving of tres leche cake to share with my husband. I don't get to eat treats like that often, so I was looking forward to it. Excited, even. We ate some after dinner and saved it for the next night. As you can imagine, it was gone the next night. I asked my husband if he ate it, and of course he didn't. I was very upset. Not just because it was the last of a single serving of my cake, but because it had been building up to that. The entitlement, inconsideration, insolence, and the money. Who does that? That would be like her going out to dinner and me eating her leftovers. It's common sense, common decency. It's so fucking rude. I would never do that to someone. Did we take it too far by telling her she was welcome to share our food when we moved in? Well, it's the whole give someone an inch, they'll take your pudding. I'm not going to sit here and tell you how awesome we are to live with, but we definitely don't touch her things, eat anything she buys herself or for herself, or even confront her about it. It only adds friction. But I need to do something, like at least put some Tabasco on something of mine that I know she'll eat. This is a learning opportunity for her, but I'm not clever enough to think of anything. For clarification, we're not kicking her out. We will most certainly not be confronting her because she's gotten violent in the past. Police came, it was a nightmare and incredibly embarrassing. Already tried Post-its and labeling food. She actually thought our dog food was up for grabs. Didn't read it, I guess. Thought it was chili, of all things, to eat in July. Not chili for a while. Not when it's warm, though. Usually mostly sandwiches and things when it's warm. Well, I would like our suggestions to prevent her from taking my things or eating our food. I'll be sure to post updates and let you know what I've decided on. Thank you so much. Well, if you're not willing to kick her out or confront her, which are obviously the obvious solutions, because she needs to not be there, she'll hopefully move out eventually. This was a temporary situation, and don't let her back in. Doesn't mean you can't help her in other ways, but the priority means to be getting her to her own place, even if it's with her layabout boyfriend. But as that's not an option for now, you need to have a refrigerator with a lock on it. Maybe not the main fridge, get something small. You can put like the important things that you're not sharing with her on. Like as you said, you share some things. So just put the stuff like desserts and things, and anything specific to maintaining your diet in there, so that she can access it. And I think that's really the only practical solution for the food. I mean, you certainly could contaminate something that you'll know she'll eat, that she'll have a bit of a reaction to, like making something extra spicy. But if you're trying to avoid escalating, that's not the way to do it. So it's a matter of just making sure she doesn't have access to things. Maybe get a small refrigerator for the bedroom, like I say, with a lock on it. Or if you've got room, I don't know your situation, so maybe you have a garage, maybe you have room in the garage. I know a lot of houses in... You mentioned Costco. I'm assuming America, because we have Costco here, but... Maybe if I'm wrong, assuming America, do forgive me. But if you are in the States, I know it's quite common to have a second refrigerator, usually the older one that still works in the garage. That might also be a viable option for you, but essentially you just need to keep things separate and encourage her to get her shit together, get that work history sorted so she can qualify for the disability, so she has as much reasonable income as she can, and that she's not mooching off of you. Because it's nice to help out family when you can, but it shouldn't become a way of life, because that doesn't benefit anybody in the long run, does it? Alright, story number 4. My roommate tried to ban me from using the bathroom after 9 p.m. That's a bit shit. I'm waiting for a video game to download, so naturally I decided this was the perfect time to trauma dump another story. Some of the tiny details are a little fuzzy because this all happened during COVID. Through therapy, I've learned that I've mentally blocked out a lot of my past, and many of my memories from that time are tangled up with PTSD and anxiety. But the important parts, those are burned into my brain forever. Let us set the scene and provide context. This starts right as COVID was shutting the world down. About 8 months later, I had gotten out of a pretty awful relationship. I put relationship in quotation marks because calling it that is generous. It was more of a situationship. The spicy time? Fantastic. Literally everything else? Dumpster fire. My dog hated him. That should have been enough. My dog weighs 5 pounds and has always slept in the bed with me. My ex decided my dog wasn't allowed on the bed unless he'd had a bath. I mean, to be fair, your ex should probably be having baths fairly frequently. Fine, whatever. But then my dog started peeing in this man's shoes. Oh, that's got to be a sign of hatred. Come on. Yeah, okay, moving on. Here's the thing. My dog does not mark, ever, except apparently when he met this man. Even my dog was like, yeah, no. I should have listened to my tiny, furry personal therapist. Anyway. After we broke up, I had to move out immediately. Within hours of getting dumped. He had the balls to dump you? Fucking hell. I had my entire life shoved into my car. I ended up moving back in with my mom and stepdad. This was way before the wedding story, which I'm assuming you can find on their account. Before they split up, they had 2 spare bedrooms. Stepdad immediately said yes. My mother immediately said no. Okay. Fortunately for me, it was stepdad's house. His mortgage, and therefore his final decision. Trust me, this was absolutely not my first choice. When you've got your entire life packed into your car with nowhere to go, you're not exactly in a position to be picky. And the plan was always temporary. Well, do remember that shit the next time your mother needs a favor. So I started looking for roommates, and joined one of those roommate finder websites. That's where I met her. Edith. We were around the same age, had similar hobbies, and got along great over the phone. She was moving to the area after her divorce, while I had already been living there for a while. She found a house where the homeowner was renting out 2 bedrooms. Since I was local, I toured it while FaceTiming her. Looking back, meeting my future roommate exclusively over FaceTime before signing a lease with her, bold, very bold, but somehow it worked. For a while. I got the larger bedroom, so I paid more rent than she did. Life was actually nice. COVID had me working from home. She was unemployed for a while. We decorated our shared balcony with string lights, comfy chairs, and an outdoor rug. We sit outside drinking wine, binge-watch TV together, cook dinner for each other, and go to the dog park together. Honestly, I thought I'd made a lifelong friend. Then the universe started dropping hints. Our dogs really didn't get along. That dog of yours, you need to pay more attention. Mine was extremely well trained. Hers regularly chose violence. This dog peed on my bedroom rugs multiple times, then he peed on my brand new mattress. She apologized, never offered to help clean it, never offered to replace anything, nothing. I should have known then. She also spent a lot of time talking about her ex-husband, like a lot. Every wine night eventually turned into the same situation. Well, it was a wine night.
Do you think if I text him, he'd take me back? What if I just explain myself? Do you think he's happier without me?
Fuck yes.
Do you think he's seeing someone?
We can only hope.
If I accidentally run into him somewhere, would that be weird?
Accidentally?
Should I just send him one more message? What if I write him a letter? Do you think he misses me?
It got to the point where I felt less like a roommate and more like an unpaid relationship therapist who is very underqualified for the job. I always told her the same thing. There was a reason they got divorced. If it was meant to work out, it would. But she couldn't let it go. She constantly stalked his social media to see what he was doing. And because her parents still talked to him, she'd ask them for updates too. She always complained that they stayed in touch with him, but I don't think she hated it nearly as much as she claimed. Looking back, the obsession was a lot, and yes, in hindsight, I probably should have taken that as another giant red flag. Eventually, she decided to start dating again, which I thought was healthy. I started dating too. We'd go on dates, bring guys back to meet each other, compare notes afterwards. Normal roommate girl stuff. Then she started dating one guy pretty seriously, and he started spending the night. No big deal, except we shared a wall. Guys, you know that feeling when your brain hears something and immediately goes, I wish I could uninstall my ears. Yeah, that was me. We shared a wall. Sometimes they were loud, other times the TV volume would mysteriously jump to maximum. Girl, I wasn't born yesterday. Eventually I mentioned it. She laughed and said,
well, at least I'm getting some.
As if that was some kind of flex. Meanwhile, I was also seeing someone, my now angel husband. The difference, nobody knew because I respected the people I lived with. Funny how that works. Somewhere around this point, things shifted and the friendship got weird. I worked from home, she worked outside the house. Whenever I'd come home around 9 or 10 p.m., walking up the wooden stairs would wake her dog, which would wake her, so she asked if I could always be home by 9. Okay, not ideal, but sure, the people pleaser in me won that round, so fine. Then she asked that after 9 p.m., I stay in my room because walking down the hallway woke her dog. Okay. Then one night I made the mistake of using the ice maker after 9 p.m. Guys, you would have thought I set off the alarm. She became absolutely unglued. I got a wall of texts about how using the ice maker after 9 p.m. was disrespectful to everyone in the house. And how dare I? To be fair, I actually did feel bad about that one. I genuinely wasn't thinking, and that ice maker sounded like it was trying to excavate fossils. That one? Fair enough. Bathroom trips after 9 p.m. were apparently acceptable, kind of. You know, unless my bladder decided to disrespect her dog's bedtime routine, and then somehow even that became an issue. She eventually requested that I stop using the bathroom after 9 p.m. because, you guessed it, walking down the hallway woke her dog. Girl, be so for real right now. She actually told me I needed to respect her work schedule because I had the luxury of working from home. Listen, I'll avoid vacuuming at midnight. I won't blast music. But I am absolutely not scheduling my bladder around your dog's sleep cycle. That became my final straw. My boyfriend's grandfather passed away, and he was devastated. I asked the homeowner if he could stay the weekend so he wouldn't have to be alone. She said yes. Important context. Up until this point, both of us regularly had partners stay 1 or 2 nights. This wasn't some brand new rule I was breaking. One night, around 4 a.m., my boyfriend got up to use the bathroom. At the same time, Edith opened her bedroom door to use it too. He politely stepped aside and mentioned for her to go first. Instead, she exploded. She stomped away, yelling, "Go the fuck home already!" Then slammed her bedroom door at 4 a.m. That seems disrespectful to everyone in the house. Now, because of my upbringing, yelling and slamming doors instantly throws my nervous system into full panic mode. I was shaking. I became so anxious about walking down the hallway that I literally peed in a plastic storage tote in my bedroom and dumped it the next morning. Let me repeat that. A grown adult woman was so afraid of another grown adult woman that she created a bathroom situation straight out of a medieval castle. Typing that sentence is somehow still less embarrassing than her behavior. The text started immediately. Apparently I was disrespectful, couldn't follow simple rules, didn't care about anyone else, etc. My boyfriend left early because he didn't want things getting worse. The next morning I heard her leave for work. I walked in the bathroom. The trash can, gone. The shower curtain, gone. The bath mat, gone. Her toiletries, gone. The toilet paper, gone. At that point I realized my dog really had been trying to warn me all along. She texted me to let me know she had removed everything because it belonged to her and that I wasn't allowed to use it anymore. Okay. So apparently we had entered the bring-your-own-bathroom supplies era. Imagine being almost 30 years old and expecting someone to carry a shower curtain from their bedroom, install it every time they wanted to shower, then remove it afterward and store it again. I wish I were making this up. Thankfully, my boyfriend and I decided we'd had enough. We found a place together and started moving me out. She complained that packing was making too much noise. Good. We moved everything out that we could until she got home, and then I was so afraid to use the stairs that we created what can only be described as an OSHA violation waiting to happen, and lowered almost everything off the second-floor balcony into the back of a truck with ropes. Was it ridiculous? Absolutely. Did it work? Also yes. Never spoke to her again, and that's the story of how I once had to build a balcony pulley system because my roommate thought I shouldn't exist after 9 p.m. I hope she got kicked the fuck out. Bitch. Stick with me on this one. 5th and final story. I wasn't sure if my roommate was real or a ghost, by Thames Jar. About 7 years ago, I, 28 and female now, was having a hard time finding an apartment in my budget during my internship in a new city. After talking to many realtors, one finally helped me find a shared 2-bedroom apartment with a lady, 30, female, who happened to be from my hometown, but we had never met before. This apartment was the top floor of a very narrow building in the busy local market and well within my budget. The arrangement I had with the lady was that we'd share the kitchen and living spaces, but we had our own bedrooms and bathrooms. She also let me have her old bed that wasn't exactly in great condition, but worked for me. My bathroom was also accessible from the common lobby between our bedrooms. When I was moving in, my mother was there and helped me out, and also happened to have a conversation with the lady about her job and our hometown. She mentioned that she travels an hour away for work all week and goes to visit her family on weekends. She seemed sweet, but there was an awkward interaction I had witnessed between her and the realtor that made me wonder if they were seeing each other. After my mom left, I realized that she had been the only one who saw the entire apartment and had been in the lady's room. The lady never offered me to hang out with her, and I didn't want to be a bother if she didn't want to be friends. She frequently used to come to my room. She told me to lock the door of the bathroom that was accessible from the lobby for privacy. I locked it on the day I moved in, and never opened it since. Our arrangement for the kitchen was to cook on our own if needed instead of hiring help, as we used to be out for work for the most part. A week passed. She used to leave for work before I did and came home after I did. I used to come home and make dinner. A couple of times I noticed there were dirty utensils and flour on the kitchen counter that I assumed was her doing. But I didn't really go into the kitchen in the mornings. I just assumed she was messy. At the end of the week, she asked me if I had been leaving my utensils and the kitchen counter like that. I told her that was weird because I thought it was her. She said it wasn't. But we ignored it, thinking we must have missed something because of our busy schedules. In the following week, the same thing kept happening. We didn't discuss it, as we preferred to just stay in our rooms and didn't interact much. I assumed that she must have hired a cook. A couple of weeks in, my friends came for a sleepover that I had discussed with the lady. She didn't mind. It was raining when my friends got there. We wanted to get some drinks, and my friends went out in the rain to find something, but couldn't go too far, and got what they found at a nearby wine shop. They brought back a very creepy-looking bottle of whiskey. It was shaped like the head of an old man gasping for air, and called something like Crazy Romeo. We had a laugh about this choice of theirs and decided to try it. After one shot each, all four of us combined decided it was too disgusting and felt spiked, so we stopped drinking it before it did any harm. We put it into the empty closet that I wasn't using. That closet was adjoining the wall of the lady's bedroom. Later that night, all four of us slept on the same bed. All of us heard weird noises coming from inside the closet wall. We wondered what the lady must be doing at that hour. The noises were getting spookier, and we opened the closet door to listen in. I told them I was getting bad vibes from that creepy whiskey bottle. They agreed, and we flushed the whiskey down the toilet and threw the bottle in the trash. Later that night, the poor old bed broke down under the weight of 4 fidgety adults. The room was too small for us to sleep on the floors, so 2 of us went to the living room, and me and my friend slept on the floor next to the bathroom door. We told the other 2 to wake us up if they needed to use the loo, because there was no space to walk otherwise. Note that none of us are drunk at this point. I woke at the crack of dawn and went to the bathroom. Everyone else was still asleep. On the shelf behind me, I saw a bottle of liquid that looked like toilet cleaner. It was a plain white plastic bottle with a thick orange liquid inside. I picked it up to check because I had never seen it before in my bathroom, assuming that one of my friends must have got it. I left it there and went back to sleep. When my friends were leaving, I asked them if they took that bottle in the bathroom they had left. They laughed at me. Why would they bring their own cleaning supplies to a sleepover? Weird. I went back to the bathroom after seeing them off, and the bottle was gone. But there was a mark left from the liquid. I checked the lobby door. It was still locked. I asked the lady if she had by chance left any cleaning liquid in my bathroom. She said she hadn't been in that bathroom since I moved in. I told myself I must be mistaken and cleaned that mark and the rest of the bathroom. In the evening, when I came home to sleep, I could once again hear noises from my closet. I tried to listen in. It sounded like whispers. I was scared now, because I'd never seen the bedroom of the lady, and the sounds that were coming from there, and I was already a little spooked out with my interactions with her. The next morning, when she was getting dressed for work, she closed her bedroom door as usual and was packing her purse in the hallway. It was raining. I asked her if someone had slept over with her as well. She said no. I asked her how she was going to go to work in that weather. She said she will catch a cab from the market. When she left the house, I heard her walk down the stair and ran to the balcony. I had a realization. It was that I had never seen her actually leave the building or come back in before. I was at the balcony before she could reach the ground floor. I waited for about 40 minutes. But she never left the building. I went downstairs to see if she was stuck due to the rain, but she wasn't there. I immediately called my mother and asked her if she had noticed anything odd about the lady or her room. I thought I had been living with a ghost. My mom said, I'm being silly, and these stories were bizarre. I let it go, thinking I must have mismatched the timings. A few days later, on a weekend, the lady was going out with someone. Out of nowhere, she decided to introduce me to her boyfriend who was in the house. That was it. For months, he had been living in the house, cooking in the kitchen, cleaning behind our backs, talking to her in the middle of the night. A phantom shagger. Almost all the weird things were explained. She didn't tell me about the guy because she was a very private woman, but it was so odd that another person was living in our shared apartment that I didn't know of, really bloody rid of her, and was there even when I was all alone, which is fucked up. I didn't make it awkward, and instead we decided to go out together with another friend of mine. We all went out, walked out of the building, went to the mall, had dinner at a restaurant, and walked back inside the building. She was real, not a ghost. She is now married to the boyfriend, presumably he's real as well, and they have a little girl. We didn't stay in touch, but yes, I still think about these incidents and remember them very vividly. That is, honestly, it's so bizarre and rude that she would keep a third person, a second roommate for you, that you didn't agree to live with. I've got to wonder if maybe she was having a hard time finding someone to lease the room because she had a partner there. I mean, I'm all for people having their privacy, but certain things just have to be disclosed. Anyway, and that brings us to the end of today's video. A big thanks to everyone who allowed me to use their stories. If you'd like to support the channel, you can sign up for my Patreon page, which is linked down in the description. $1 or more gets you early access to all the videos at once on Monday. There's also a link to my merchandise store over on Teespring, as well as my Discord server, my Threads account, and my email is kingofthecities@gmail.com, should you need to contact me for any reason. That's everything for now, so until next time, thank you very much for watching, and take very good care of yourselves. Bye-bye.